monster. I hate what I've become. The nightmare's just begun. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel it deep within. It's just beneath the skin. I must confess that I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster. I feel like a monster.
Hello everyone. Welcome to this brutally honest review on Conarium. Conarium is by Zoetrope Interactive, published by ice-berg Interactive, and I'm going to admit it's one of the better suspense horror games I've played in a long time. It is a Cthulhu-esque H.P. Lovecraftian design about the novel At the Mountains of Madness, and is set in a large original story based upon that novel. You explore an Antarctic base and deal with dreams and visions as well as unlock secrets. It has a lot of suspense to it. The game is very tense, but is it any good? Well, let's talk about it. For a start, I have completed the game front to back. I am going to go over one of my biggest gripes with the game right now. Playtime. The entire game can be played through in about 5 hours, 4.5 if you just straight up speed run it, and or about 4 hours actually if you speed run it and skip all the cutscenes and all the radio traffic and just speed run through it. It's about 4 hours. It's 5.5 hours with the cutscenes, and if you try to get every single thing in the game. That's the whole game. It's only 5.5 hours. I only put 4 hours and 45 minutes into it on live stream to get through the entire game. That much said, there are 3 possible endings to the game, all 3 of which are conscious player choices that you make as you go. And the game is... I'm just going to say it. The story itself grips a hold of you and doesn't fucking let go. It just doesn't let go. So, as you can see, all total, I have about 30 autosaves as I played through the game. Last autosave is at 2 hours 56 minutes and 3 hours and 9 minutes. I actually played the game for longer than that, but these autosaves don't factor in death because you do die. There are things that can actually kill you. But that's not what the game's about necessarily. It's about building tension and making you regret things. So spoiler alert, we're going to be giving some spoilers away here. I don't know how many spoilers or how deep the spoilers will get, but they're going to be here. You came to a review of a story-based game, you're going to have spoilers. Loading times are not terribly long. I may regret that statement right now because it might actually take a second to load this autosave. But generally speaking, I found the load times to be 10 to 15 seconds. Yeah. And you get freaky shit like this.
Claiming that you are me, Frank Gilmer, but you are just a machine.
And you are just air.
You see how you get freaky shit like this. This is actually sentient. It'll talk back to you. Its responses change as the story goes. Yeah. So, we start opening doors. And as you can see, stuff is tense. Creepy. Now, I've been through this part before. I know where the creep factor and things happen, and I'm not going to necessarily give a reaction. If you want my actual reactions, you should go watch the live stream playbacks, because I screamed like a little girl. But yeah, there's a lot of just interacting, looking at stuff, and puzzle solving that has to be done on your part. Now right now we're in the crew quarters. I'm going to leave the crew quarters and go to the radio room, show you guys one of the rudimentary one of the very first puzzles you run into. This is very early game, so I'm not really spoiling a lot. But this is actually what you're going to be doing mostly, is exploring, dealing with the isolation, the shadows. Still freaked me out a little bit. I know it's the shadow off the fan in this case, but it still just kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Some electrical condition in the disturbed air seems to prevent communication.
So there is a puzzle in here to get the radio to work. I haven't found it necessarily. I know that's a tape player that I can't interact with again. But as you can see, you do have to do some digging around here. And a lot of the time there's just background noise that eats at you.
Some electrical condition in the disturbed air seems to prevent communication.
List of corresponding Morse code.
This
And
is
here it
Frank
is.
Gilman. Can anybody hear me? Over. They may be out of reach.
And it's mostly just a look and click type adventure with the ever building tension on the back of your neck. The game does do tension very well. Let's move forward to something a bit more scary. I'm gonna see where this is. If this is in the submarine, then this is where things kind of get drastically unnerving very quickly. But my opinion of it, I have. Oh yes, it is in the submarine. And I can't tell where I'm looking exactly. There we go. Follow the lights. You have 3 speed settings over here to deal with. Faster speed. And if you hit stuff in the submarine, you can't actually sink the submarine. One of the ways I died, I sunk the fucking submarine. But as you can see, you just look around here. There's like a table to tell you how to operate it. And you just keep moving forward, and you know, you just act like things are nice, natural, and nothing seems wrong. You can descend, and so it's this little just driving a mini game here. This is about as fast as it'll go. It is literally just a small exploration sub from like the 50s. Oh God, no!
No!
They do get you with a cheap jump scare apparently every once in a while. That did happen in our original playthrough. I think it saved at the point where I saw it swim by and I thought, what the fuck is that? And then it jumps your ass. But yeah. And the only way I can describe playing this game is just tension. It is unlike playing an Alien Isolation game or some other horror game where it gets tense, and then you die and you get a sense of relief. This doesn't ever give you the sense of relief. The tension just keeps building. And somehow we're back in this area. And things are changed. And if you observe the changes,
It's locked.
you might find interesting predicaments.
Locked.
You find lots of occult books, calls back to the King in Yellow.
It's stuck.
This is a puzzle that I was unable to solve earlier. I'm actually trying to solve it now because it's a rudimentary puzzle that I should be able to solve. So there's the phonograph. Found a note. I didn't find this note earlier. And you find notes like this all the time. Now, I'm not actually going to read this one to avoid spoilers for you guys, so when you play through it, you can find that note and read it yourself. You have a flashlight with you at all times, and it provides unlike most horror games, this actually provides light like you would expect a fucking flashlight to do. I mean, hold on. Look at this. That's how a flashlight's supposed to look! And a lot of horror games I know don't have that. And I'm like, why do you have these little gimpy fucking flashlights? Explains how it works. And they're wondering if they can actually use it to filter through a loving person's brain, which is a bit disturbing to say the least. And so that's what we have. Now I have not yet figured out how to open this box, nor what's in it. It looks like a combination lock, or like I should have a certain type of key. But I haven't found said key. And that is literally just an elder sign on a book. You would think you don't want to open that book. And then you switch out the phonograph cylinders.
Two days ago, Frank most probably could have reached the intended time period.
Mm-hmm.
Among all the Conarium, he is the most, how should I say it, gifted. But unfortunately, his heart ceased beating all of a sudden.
And now you find out that your heart
This was
ceased
most
beating during an
unfortunate.
experiment.
Because when he came back, he doesn't remember anything specific. I believe there is no other way.
And
than
this is
increasing
the kind of gameplay you can
of the
expect.
mixture.
It's not the most
Very
riveting,
dangerous,
but when you're actually
it seems
playing
the
it and
only
actually
way
in
to
it and
raise
you
the
don't know
time
what's
limit and
next,
awareness in
it
the
just
session.
keeps eating at your psyche. And it won't stop. It does not let up. And I think I think they did a very good job of just implementing that whole Cthulhu-esque idea that things only get worse. Like, there is no... At no point in the game do things seem to be getting better. They always just get worse. They get more interesting, and your curiosity is raised, and more you want to dive in. And the further you dive, the worse things get for you. The more creepy it gets, the harsher it gets, and the more afraid you actually become. So Zoetrope Interactive did an excellent job building this. Ice-berg, I thank you for publishing this. I actually played this at PAX. I did receive this game for free. I want to say that now before I let you guys know my own personal final verdict. I did receive this game for free. You need to weigh your options and figure out if you how you want to take that idea. But my personal opinion, $20 is not bad. Just the amount of time you actually get playing it is what I have a problem with. If I had maybe more game time, I might enjoy that more. But sadly, it just didn't happen. There was not the game just kind of ends. And that's what upset me, was the game just kind of ended. If it had not just kind of sort of ended all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden, like you could see it building up. But the game should, in my opinion, have been a little longer. And while I can get the original soundtrack as the only piece of DLC that exists, which is a great, amazing soundtrack, and all of it is music written for the game, none of it is copyrighted material, or it's fair use material. The only piece being fair use material is Charcombe and Dim by J.S. Bach. So they actually included Bach. So the soundtrack's amazing. The game is good. It's just short. It's incredibly short. And I wish it wasn't so short. That is my number one chief complaint. The story's amazing. The gameplay is not necessarily the most riveting thing in the world. But it does Lovecraft justice, and it does Lovecraft right. If you want something to play through that's kind of more of a movie than a game, in which it's an interactive movie, this is up your stick. If you want something that does Lovecraft right, this is up your stick. If you don't want either of those two things, not necessarily your game. That's my final opinion. Great game, good atmosphere, excellent visuals and sound. The tension just keeps gnawing at you so much that I actually think there were points where I was more afraid of what was going to happen next than I was when I was playing Alien Isolation, because when the alien catches me in Alien Isolation, I get a sense of relief and stuff is done and I can relax a little bit. When I play this, not so much so. Even when I died in this game, I was afraid. I still felt the tension in the air and the fear was still there when I came back to go through it again. It was all still there. And that is really hard to accomplish, and I congratulate them. So, first positive, brutally honest review in a while. But again, I wish the game was longer. I wouldn't complain about its length if it was $15. If the game was $15 US, I would not complain. But since it's $20 US, where I am right now, it's 15 British pounds. I have a problem with that, and only having 5 hours of gameplay. I seriously do. And on top of that, it's the kind of game where if you just watch someone do a playthrough of it and they get everything in the game, I missed a few things, so my playthrough doesn't have every single thing in the game. But if you just watch someone play through and get every single thing in the game, then you've basically played the game, which is a discredit to it that watching YouTube videos of this game can give you most of the experience. But there we have it. There's my brutally honest review. Hope you all enjoyed. I hope the game devs will continue to build Lovecraftian games like this, and they need to figure out ways to make the story go longer without without necessarily making the game feel tedious. I think they cut it off at the right point as far as the story goes without it being overextensive or too tedious. I just think the price point is a bit high for a 5-hour game. And that's my only complaint. The price point's a bit high for a 5-hour game. Wow. I played through an entire game, and my only complaint is the price point's a bit high for a 5-hour game. That's awkward to say. Good job. Just straight up, good job. So, I'm rambling at this point. I hope you all enjoyed this review. We're going to have another brutally honest review about Long War 2 for XCOM 2 coming up very shortly. In the meantime, for my house of yours, it's been Fiaura, and I'll see all you guys later. Bye!